gingival diseases caused due to the local factors. What is the local factors? Plaque. Correct? So one more is non-plaque induced gingival diseases. Under gingival diseases caused due to the local factors, that is plaque, we have drug-induced enlargements, drug-induced gingivitis, then nutritional deficiency, and some gingivitis caused due to the systemic or endocrine disorders. Okay, and even for the blood viscous patients also we can come across with gingival diseases. Gingival diseases other than plaque induced are viral infections, fungal infection. Okay, what are the main fungal infection we can come across in the oral cavity? Viral herpes, then yes, sometimes we come across with zoster also, gingivostomatitis also. Okay, then some bacterial infection, or either it may be due to some injuries also. Injuries such as physical injury such as while brushing or eating something, they may get hurt to the gingiva. Chemical injury by using any toothpaste or any mouthwashes or any medication, it may affect the gingiva. Okay, traumatic injuries, some cheek bite or trauma from occlusion, anything it might be. Okay, then coming to the drug-induced enlargements, you guys know about anything? Okay. Okay, how will you identify? The patient comes to you with a huge enlargement in his oral cavity. How will you make out whether this is a normal enlargement or drug-induced enlargement? Okay. Patient doesn't give you the history. Yes. Along with that, one more like very important clinical features you guys can make out. First is like gingival enlargements are classified as inflammatory gingival enlargement, drug-induced gingival enlargements, false enlargements, malignant enlargements. Okay, enlargements due to the manifestation of systemic diseases. Okay, so these are the basic classification of enlargement. If the patient comes to you with the inflammatory enlargement, that means that is only due to the plaque and calculus which is present in his oral cavity due to the improper maintenance of oral hygiene. Okay, so for that, if you are doing only scaling, root planing, it will come down. If still after that also if you feel any enlargement is left out, then you are supposed to go ahead with other procedures called gingivectomy or gingivoplasty procedures. How will you identify? If it is a inflammatory gingival enlargement, the gingiva looks like this. Okay, red in color, soft and edematous. If patient is having drug-induced enlargement, the one classical clinical sign will be that will be fibrotic in nature. It won't be so much of reddishness in color. Okay, and patient is taking drugs since few years. Along with that, again he is having a like calculus also. That time what will happen? Patient comes to you, you won't be able to make out which kind of enlargement. That is called as combined enlargement. Systemic drugs is also patient is taking, along with that maintenance is also not good. Both of like predisposing factors together cause the gingival enlargement. Okay, in such cases, what are the like different drugs? One is antihypertensive, one is anti-epileptic, one more is immunosuppressant. Okay, okay. Fine. Patient has told you that he is taking some amlodipine or something medication. What will you do then? Okay. So first you are supposed to go ahead with phase 1 therapy, scaling and root planing. First you are supposed to remove all the local factors, then you are supposed to refer to the physician. Okay. So then give a substitution for the drug. Then afterwards it doesn't come down. Why? Because why? See what causes the like enlargement? Collagen, correct? Yes. So due to the formation of aggressive collagen deposition in the gingiva. So like how it will cause? You guys have heard about fibroblast? Yes. Osteoblasts like that. Fibroblasts are there. They are the cells which produce the collagen fibers. Okay. for some people, different like population of fibroblasts will be present. If that kind of population is present in an individual, when they are taking some drugs, those population of the fibroblasts are tend to lay down the more collagen fibers. Okay, so they have taken a medication, the fibroblastic population was there in that person, because all the patients who are taking medication, they won't get an enlargement in the lungs, right? So if the already enlargement has taken place, that means like the fibroblast has already laid down the collagen fibers. It doesn't come down. Okay, even though you have changed the drug, already it has been laid down. It doesn't get resolved, right? So after changing the drug, you are supposed to wait for 2 months. Then you recall the patient, check for the enlargement. If it doesn't come down, means you are supposed to go ahead with gingivectomy and gingivoplasty procedure. Okay. If it is a false enlargement, what are the false enlargement? It looks like gingival enlargement, but it is not a soft tissue enlargement. It might be due to some extrosmosis, tauride. Okay, some condition is there, hereditary, like the gingival fibromatosis. In that, actually bony changes will be there. Bony ledges is there. So by seeing that, suddenly we'll like assume that it's a gingival enlargement, but you are not supposed to. You are supposed to do the transgingival probing to check the bony contour. Okay. In such cases also, you are supposed to see if whether it is a hard tissue enlargement or soft tissue enlargement. Then only you are supposed to do it with treatment. Next, coming to this, what is chronic periodontitis? These are the basic diseases you guys should know. Okay, these are like we commonly come across in the clinical practice. Chronic periodontitis. Yes. Yes. Mobility. Very good. Usually, patient comes to you with what kind of symptoms? For gingival disease, they can come bleeding gums, right? Or swelling gums. Sensitivity, yes. Mobile teeth, then yes, that is very important. Food lodgement, food infection. Okay, then
blood calculus.
Usually patient, very rarely you call a patient will come to us by saying that they have black or calculus. Then keep telling you guys, if you remove this, my tooth will start moving, so better not to do it. Okay. Usually when there is any periodontal inflammation will be there, patient comes to you with either bad breath or food infection, sensitivity or loosened teeth. Okay, these are the common criteria. Patient comes to you with a teeth complaint. Okay, so what are the treatment modalities you can plan? Clinically, what you guys can see? Yes, mobility. Okay, then what is recession also? Main thing is periodontal pocket. Correct? Then what is radiographically? As it told, like bone loss. Okay? Either it may be generalized or localized. Like how will you like say that it is localized or generalized? So we have certain. So for that we have given some amount of it. If it is less than 30% site of the teeth is involved, then it is called as localized. If it is more than 30% site of the tooth, because in perio it's all about site. Okay, it's not like single tooth. In one tooth, how many areas will check for pocket? 4 points. Who are telling 6 and who are telling 6? Sure? Tell me. Where are we checked? Yes, very good. So this is mesiobuccal, mid-buccal and distal-buccal. Same thing will be on the other side. Usually in perio we check for 6-point probing. Okay, we are supposed to check probing here, here and other 3 sides. Okay. How will you probe it? Okay, I have taken that easily. So coming to the treatment modalities, if patient comes to you with a chronic periodontitis, if you feel extraction, See, first is like, if you feel it is a generalized, then you are supposed to get an OPG done. Okay, by that you can get an idea how the disease progression is all over the home. Okay, by seeing that you are supposed to plan. If you are planning something, automatically the prognosis of that treatment, that also you should keep in mind. Unless if you do emergency treatment and send back the patient, again patient will come back to you.
If mobility is great, then we should go for exercise. If
Yes.
mobility is great, then we will cut the feet.
Yes, we can.
And then maintain our life.
So in like some patients with the grade 3 mobility also, they doesn't want to get the teeth extraction. In such cases, what do you do?
Flap surgery, ma'am. Pocket reduction process.
No, grade 3 mobility. Grade 3 mobility means like what? So how will you like categorize grade 1 mobility, grade 2 mobility, grade how will you categorize? What is grade 1 mobility? Sorry? Less than 1 mm. If it is more than 1 mm, grade 2. If it is along with horizontal vertical depressions, it is called as grade 3. That means like what? No bone only, no? See, if I open a flap with grade 3 mobility,
Avoid the
good idea. Okay? I can charge for flap surgery also, I can charge for extraction also, right? Okay, what is aggressive periodontitis? Okay. Just get it in a better way. Aggressive means what? Very rapid destruction in short span. In chronic periodontitis, what will happen? Like it will be slowly progressing, but in the aggressive, we have again localized at generalized. So what all teeth will be involved in aggressive? Localized? Incisors and why it's so? Very good. So what is the etiology? You guys remember AA? Okay, those are the either it may be due to the AA bacteria or it may be due to the genetic predisposition. Most commonly we come across either bacterial or genetic. Okay, so usually we come across localized aggressive periodontitis during the age of puberty. Why? Because molars will erupt at the age of puberty, right? Even like during that age only. So because once the molars will erupt in the oral cavity, if the bacteria will be present in that person, so it will start destroying the periodontium. That means like incisors and along with incisors and molars, not more than 2 permanent tooth will be involved in localized aggressive periodontitis. Along with incisors and molars, more than 3 permanent teeth involving, that is called as generalized aggressive periodontitis. So what is the treatment plan for this? For both chronic periodontitis and aggressive periodontitis, usually scaling, tooth cleaning, then flap surgeries. These are the basic treatment plans. So when we are giving treatment for aggressive periodontitis, along with mechanical debridement and surgical thing, you are supposed to go ahead with antibiotic therapy also. Why? Because the AA bacteria has the capacity to hide in the epithelial cells. When you do only mechanical debridement, what will happen? Those bacteria will be left out in the epithelial cells. So again it will cause the destruction. That's why before starting the mechanical debridement, you are supposed to give them antibiotic therapy, then go ahead with phase 1 therapy. Okay. So coming to the periodontitis as a manifestation of systemic diseases. What systemic diseases you guys know? Yes. What you come across? Okay. Like classical side. patient is diabetic and comes to you, abscess, multiple abscess. That is a classical sign. Okay, periodontitis is a sixth classical sign of diabetes. Okay, even though patient is unaware that he is a diabetic, by seeing his oral cavity, salivary consistency and gum diseases, you can send him for the investigation for the diabetes. Okay, so what else? Pregnancy tumors. You guys have heard? If any female patient comes to you, okay, you come across any gingivitis, so like female patients may get puberty gingivitis, menopausal gingivitis, pregnancy gingivitis, or sometimes pregnancy tumors also. Okay, so what are the treatment plan for that? Why the gingivitis will be seen during puberty, pregnancy? Okay. What is the main culprit there? You guys have heard the primitive intermedia bacteria? Right, no? So some patients will be having the primitive intermedia bacteria. If the patient is having that, okay. So due to the hormonal changes, what will happen? Those bacteria will lose those hormones and they grow vigorously in the oral cavity. That's how we come across with the puberty gingivitis, any menstrual issues, also along with the pregnancy gingivitis also. If the patient comes to you during pregnancy and patient is having pyogenic granuloma or pregnancy tumor, what is your treatment plan? You said by the patient, come after delivery. Actually, these are basic tactics. If any patient, any medical history patient comes to your clinic, okay, before, if female patient is coming, married female patient, you are supposed to motivate the patient for scaling before they are planning for pregnancy. During pregnancy also they are supposed to get a oral prophylaxis, then after delivery also. So few research says that due to the bacteremia, what will cause preterm low birth weight of the fetus. And preterm delivery also, they are common due to the bacteria. And you guys might have heard about myocardial infection, so many cardiac issues. Okay, if the oral cavity is not, that's the reason nowadays all the physicians before any surgical procedure they will send the patient for a oral prophylaxis. Okay, that's the. And one more thing, if patient comes to you with a 6 month history of cardiac surgery, within 6 months you are not supposed to do oral prophylaxis. Okay. And if any emergency is there, with the antibiotic prophylaxis, you can go with the procedure. What is the antibiotic prophylaxis you will give? Sorry? Not 3 grams. 2 grams amoxicillin you are supposed to give 1 hour after the procedure. Yes. After that you are supposed to continue with 500 mg PID for 3 days or 5 days. Coming to the necrotizing periodontal diseases, how will you make out? The patient is having anal. Sorry? Ulcers, very good. Then you can see the punched out ulcer like area in the internet trabecula, which will be covered by a pseudomembrane. Okay? So this is also called as trench maw. Why it is called trench maw?
So just as
only 6 people are interested in prayer. A group of soldiers in a world war, they got a same condition, that's why the name is given as trench maw. Why they got this condition? Sorry? Either it may be due to bacteria, but those soldiers got because of stress. Okay? So either it may cause due to the stress or some habits also. Those are the smoking and all predisposing factor. If the bacteria is present, then it may aggravate the disease. What is your treatment plan? If it is in anal stage, if you leave it, what will happen? No. Then stomatitis, then no more. Correct? Okay. If patient comes to you with Anand, then what is your treatment plan? It will be very painful to the patient. Condition. What is your treatment plan? Sorry? Yes. First you are supposed to like wash with the normal saline water. Okay. Then along with analgesic and antibiotic prophylaxis, you are supposed to do irrigation with the hydrogen peroxide. What is the percentage of hydrogen peroxide? 1.5% of hydrogen peroxide you are supposed to use it in a first visit. Then you are supposed to call the patient for second visit. Then you are supposed to do mechanical debridement. Okay. Along with that, from the hydrogen peroxide, you are supposed to shift to the chlorhexidine monomer. Okay. Then again in the third visit, you are supposed to do mechanical debridement properly. Understood? If it doesn't reach in this level, then it will end up with periodontitis, then stomatitis, then pneumoma. Okay. What are the different types of abscess? You have any doubt? Abscesses? Gingival abscess, periodontal abscess, then? I was waiting for this. Periodontal abscess. Okay. Is it like a periodontial abscess of the periodontium? No? Yes or no? You guys? What are the different types of abscess, doc?
Acute,
Right.
chronic.
Gingival abscess, periodontal abscess, then one more is pericoronal abscess. Okay. So, what you guys can make out in this picture? Developmental or acquired deformities and condition. Patient comes to you like this and he was complaining of something. Straight. Okay. What else? Precision is, that is the main thing. Patient can notice this and he has come to you. My gums are decided. Why? Because what is the reason behind it? It's a developmental deformity. Any idea? You guys have heard about cranial attachments? High and low, okay. So that different attachments are there later. High and low, okay? Okay. So where the cranial attachment is there here? And where is the tooth is located? This buccal is present, right? The incisors. Location of the tooth either buccally or lingually, and mucogingival problems associated with this. Any trauma to the tooth, root fractures, overhanging restorations, all those comes under developmental or acquired deformities and condition. While doing RCTs and all, you might do operation, root fractures, or instrument donation, anything can happen. Correct? So in such cases also you can come across with periodontal issues. Okay, here this has caused because of the high frenal attachment. Can you see here recession? How will you make out that frenal attachment is causing the recession? Case history. What test will remit us? Tension test. So along with those things, Fremitus test where we do? So here that is also one of the developmental deformities. Trauma from occlusion. What is the trauma from occlusion? Different types of trauma from occlusions. Primary and secondary. What is primary? You guys should know this, trauma from occlusion and traumatic occlusion. Okay. So patient comes to you with a recession or any like PDL enlargement, whiting of the PDL in X-ray and all. So what will you think? No inflammation is present in the gingiva. Okay, no caries is present. Only bone loss is seen in the lower anteriors. How will you identify? What is the problem with that? Now, what is primary trauma from occlusion? Tooth support is good. Okay, only occlusion forces are excessive, so that the periodontal fibers are not able to bear that force. That is primary trauma from occlusion. With the good support, only occlusion forces are too much. Secondary, periodontal is weak. Okay, because of weakness in the periodontal ligament, they are not able to bear the forces. That is secondary trauma from occlusion. Okay, so you are supposed to check whether any traumatic occlusion is there. In that, what are the treatment plans? Deep bite. Correct? If you leave it like that, what will happen over a period of time? Either mobility of the lower anteriors or upper anteriors will be seen, or like periapical lesion also will be seen, long-standing trauma. Then, what is your treatment plan? Sometimes minor, like as she told, how will you check? Primitus test. How will you make out? Then you are supposed to tell the patient to bite. So, like different classes are there, class 1, class 2, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Okay. So, by seeing the vibration of that, you are supposed to check whether the traumatic occlusion is there or not. If the traumatic occlusion is there, you are supposed to correct the traumatic occlusion. Okay, or by doing the orthodontic treatments, or by doing minor means you can do by doing the coronoplasty or enameloplasty also. Okay, or by giving the prosthetic appliances. What is the last one?
Endoperio.
Endoperio. What is endoperio?
Periodontal and pulpal, this is both.
Yes. Right. So either it may be endoperio or perioendo or combined. These are the basic things we are supposed to know for our clinical practice. Okay. So when patient comes to you with a chronic periodontitis, aggressive periodontitis, like this is nothing but clinical attachment level or loss. You guys know what is the clinical attachment loss level? Probing depth, you guys know, right? Along with that, so how much the destruction has taken place, for that we use the clinical attachment level. Okay. So usually how it should be clinical attachment level? Where the gingival margin should be? See, this is CJ, it should be at the CJ, correct? So this is the root surface, this is the gingiva. Hope you guys remember this picture. This is the sulcus. Okay. How much it should be? Sulcus depth? 2 mm. Not exactly. Normally 0 to 3 mm is considered as normal. If it exceeds more than 3 mm, then it is called as periodontal pocket. Periodontal pocket is nothing but deepening of the sulcus. Okay. So usually the gingival margin should be at the CJ. Okay. This. Can you see this? This is the root surface and this is the gingiva. Epithelium is come and attached to the root surface. That's why it is called as junctional epithelium. Okay. Below this, connective tissue is there. This is alveolar bone. Epithelium, connective tissue, alveolar bone. Here, periodontal fibrous is present. Okay. So this junction is very important in periodontal. If this is not there, what will happen? Pocket is formed, right? So could we go and stuck here? Put it back. That is the reason we are treating the periodontal pocket. So to check the clinical attachment level, just imagine, usually it should be at the CEJ, normally. Gingival margin should be at the CEJ. If this gingival margin is above the CEJ, there we see this. There we see here. This is the CEJ, gingival margin is here. We come across this in gingival enlargement. Gingival margin should supposed to be at the CEJ, right? It has grown above the CEJ. How will you calculate clinical attachment loss? So you are supposed to check by using periodontal probe from marginal gingiva to the base of the gingiva. That means this junction. From here you are supposed to check this. Okay. Then you are supposed to minus this much. This is extra growth. No attachment loss down. Only it has grown upwards. Okay. You are supposed to minus this in this. Then you will get a clinical attachment loss. If you think like probing depth measure is 9 mm and the gingival margin level from here to here is 3 mm. You are supposed to minus this 3 mm in this 9 mm. So you will get a clinical attachment loss is 6 mm. If the gingival margin is below the CEJ, then you are supposed to calculate this probing depth plus from the gingival margin to the CEJ, because this much loss has taken place already. Okay. But it actually is not of use in clinical practice. Only what we use is probing. So, coming to the periodontal condition, how will you diagnose? By doing the bleeding on probing, whether it is bleeding on probing is positive or negative, clinical attachment loss, or by using periodontal probing depth and radiographs. How will you probe? To check probing? Sorry? That's what I was telling you. 6-point probing has to be done. Okay, it should be like walking the probe. You won't run the probe directly like this. You check? Okay, just walking the probe in all the points. 6-point probing. And for probing we have different criteria. Diameter of the probe. We have so many generations in the periodontal probe. Generation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So starting like we have like normally what we use now, we don't know how much pressure we are putting. We are not supposed to put more pressure. If you put, what will happen? This tension epithelium will tear off. Okay. That's why they have come up with automated probes, ultrasonic probes, so many other generations has come. But we can't afford for all those things in a clinical setup. Normal probe can be used. Okay. So coming to the technique, how will you do? Walking. So how will you place the probe? While entering into the sulcus area, how will you hold it? Parallel to the long axis of the tooth. Correct? So how much pressure you put? Or what? By what question that is? The 25 grams are 0.69 Newton. This much like pressure you are supposed to put. If you put more pressure, then you end up with taking the tensional emotion. Which probe is this? So, what is missing here? 4 and 6. Why so? Why 4 and 6 are missing? They would have given that also, no? Sorry? For easy measurement. Okay, if you place like this in periodontal pocket, so you are supposed to start counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is missing, means 6 mm depth the pocket is there, correct? So if because of this missing, if it is covering like this, directly you can say it is 6 mm. If it is like this, you can directly say it's a 4 mm. Because 4 and 6 are missing, you will make is 5. For easy measurement, for the clinicians. Okay, this is the common probe what we use in clinical practice. And one more is Yoda. You will see 15 probes. 15 marking is there, no? Correct? So this can be used in a longer root length and deep periodontal pocket. If pocket depth is more than 10 mm, in such cases at all we can use that. What is this? Caucasian. Okay. Here we can come up with the markings of 3, 6, 9. So where will be used? Exactly. How will be used? Caucasian area. To check the horizontal bone. Why can't we use this Williams probe? By using Williams probe we can check only vertical bone, not the horizontal bone which is present in between the Caucasian area. Sorry? See here? Caucasian area. This is the vertical bone, this is the horizontal bone. By using Williams probe we can check that. Coming to the difference between gingivitis and periodontitis. Gingivitis is early stage of disease and it is reversible if you treat it on time. Periodontitis is irreversible. Okay. Very rarely we get a regeneration. Always we tend to get repair. Okay. You guys know about like difference between regeneration and repair? What are the common like signs and symptoms patients comes to is bad breath that won't go away, red or swollen gums, tender or bleeding gums, painful on chewing, loose teeth, sensitive teeth, and receding gums or non-appearing teeth. These are the signs and symptoms by the patient. Why we are supposed to treat the periodontal pocket? Because if pocket is there, what will happen? Plaque accumulation will take place. Because of this, it will inflame the gingival tissue. Again, due to the inflammation of the gingival tissue, then again, deepening of the sulcus will take place. Okay, one more top pen and get away. Deep breath. Then let's come over.